Everything is prepared for the attack, Your Majesty.
Good. Because of the information gathered from the Lexicon of Paradox, we now know that Iz holds a priceless treasure. Our enemy's knowledge. We must seize it. Close ranks and be on your guard. There is no telling what awaits us inside the Temple of Manuscripts.
It can't be! It's the Commander!
Commander! I'm glad to see you alive. There is much we need to discuss, Commander, but it will have to wait. We are preparing for an attack. I hope you will join us in battle. Before us is the Temple of Stone Manuscripts. I learned about it from the Lexicon of Paradox you brought. It is where the demons keep their knowledge, including Aurilu Vorlesh's secrets. This knowledge could prove invaluable to our cause. We must take it. I thank you, Commander. You are the commander of the Fifth Crusade. People would address you so even if I were to sign a decree forbidding it. Some things you just cannot take away. I have tried and failed. One of my many failures in life. I understand. I promise I shall be sincere as soon as we have vanquished the foe before us. I have been waiting to have this conversation for so long. I should like to return something to you. The Lexicon of Paradox. It may be our only key to the mysteries of the wound. One I failed to make use of. And now, onward! I've been expecting this. This is no time or place for confessions. On the other hand, any fight on the streets of this cursed city could be the last for either one of us. It is better that I open my heart now than later regret not saying what I should have. I have seen many more years than any human is supposed to. I have lived through one lifetime, then another. And all this time, I have been more of a symbol than a living person. 2 words, duty and destiny, fused with my blood, serving as my spine and bones. I forgot how to think outside these notions. You awakened the first human emotions I had felt in a long time, and those emotions were fear and jealousy. Yes, fear of the unknown and jealousy of one who robbed me of my status as the living symbol of the Crusades. I admit it. I do. And I ask for your forgiveness. I sent you into the abyss because I could not fully understand what you were and what to do with you. I hoped that you truly were our salvation, and I was painfully frightened of that being true. That is all I can say. I am glad. I was worried you wouldn't find it in yourself to understand and forgive me. Thank you. It was written in a moment of weakness. I was mourning my friend whom I had treated unfairly. I never even thought you'd find that letter. Enough! This is no time to be having such a conversation. We can talk. Afterward. Later. At some point. Not badly enough to be called a disaster, and not well enough to offer hope. It is as if everything simply shuddered to a halt. So I decided to try to move the sleeping avalanche by bringing my forces here. This was a desperate push. A desperate attempt to try to change something in this everlasting war. I would not say it was completely aimless. My arcane specialists have long since theorized that fully resolving the matter of the wound would only be possible in its very heart. But we had never come close enough to eyes or threshold to study them thoroughly. That is why I am here. A mad old queen on her last crusade.
Don't blame yourself, Your Majesty. You're not mad. You're a smart woman no matter how you look at it. Turning down such an opportunity, now that would have been foolish.
Here is where we must part. I shall catch my breath and begin gathering my people. All that's left of my army.
The hour of reaping comes! Pretending to be uninterested, imposter. I know you came down from heaven and even scooped to a conversation with that flighty killer Nocticula, the Crusader goddess and the Lady in Shadow. So that is how far you are willing to go to be rid of me.
Ooh, sounds like somebody's jealous. The goddess had a chat with Nocticula, a chat with us. But no matter how much you yell at her, you get diddly squat.
Enemy.
Remember how we used to play Crusaders when we were kids? This is it. The battle we've been preparing for our whole lives. We're finally here. Together.
Yes, brother. Together. Let's win. You shining wealth! What are you? How dare you show me your pitiful wisdom? I will destroy you, and the imposter shall bear witness! Impossible! I am chaos and death! I am the end of times! I cannot be defeated!
Can we rest now? No? How about now?
Wherever did you get this? I thought this relic was destroyed many years ago. How strange it is to see it whole again. At one time, it gave me hope. I am pleased that this object will serve the Crusade once more. I was young, and did not fully understand the magnitude of the duty that had been entrusted to me. Iomade gave me hope and strength to see me through the trials ahead, and in so doing, she won my everlasting loyalty. Always. No matter how arduous, no matter how dark the skies, no matter how much blood flows from my wounds, I shall stand with you. We shall fight for our loved ones and our friends, for the right to live and die free. We shall do everything we possibly can, and after that, we shall begin to do the impossible. And if the hour should come when our arms can no longer raise our swords, our bodies will become a shield to cover those who still have strength to fight. I, Golfrey, Queen of Mendev, swear this to you. This is my vow. I would proudly declare that to be true, and say that even Aurilu Vorlesh could not kill me on her first attempt. But to do so would be boasting. I was protected by my goddess. However, I was glad to see that, no matter how great the betrayer of humanity's power, it is nothing as compared to Iomede's might. Let the Covenant's restoration into my hands be a good omen for this war. I thank you. I shall ask the priests to offer prayers for you, that Iomade may send you strength and fortitude in the coming battles.
After breaking the blockade of the demon armies and defeating Discari, the Crusade forces close in on the Threshold Fortress. The place where 100 years ago, the first rift between the planes was opened. The place where this story will end.
A dear guest on my doorstep. Please do come in. You have been long awaited. Nothing at all. There will be no more games, trust me. And I definitely won't run. There is too much at stake. The path to your souls and the world wound's healing demands my death. The accursed Threshold prison where everything began must be where everything comes to an end. So I invite you in once again. Cross this threshold. I'll be waiting for you in the heart of the fortress, in the place where the wound was opened.
Commander, you promised us victory when it seemed impossible, and you did not let us down. Doing the impossible is your specialty. You have led us here, to the very gates of the enemy's lair. Now we will end this century-long nightmare once and for all.
You're so good at toppling fortresses by now, you can almost keep time by it. The Grey Garrison, Dresden, and now Threshold. So are we coming up on noon or midnight on the commander clock? Doesn't matter. The bards can settle that one. It's the hour of your triumph. Of course. It was a long time ago now, but it's not the kind of thing you forget. I was almost buried alive. If it wasn't for you and Sela, my skull would be lying in some cave right now with only rats for company.
It was unforgettable. That attack on the Grey Garrison was the last desperate push, the last hope of holding the city when it seemed only a miracle could save us. We would have died there. But you and Anevia leapt out of the ground, and then miracles began to happen.
We have a chance. And that's a far sight better than how things stood not so long ago. Of course, it's too early to celebrate. We've still got a battle to fight, the likes of which we've never seen before. But I think you can pull it off.
With you leading us, those monsters should be worrying about their chances of escaping with their lives.
Personally, I'm going to be doing a big pile of nothing. For a month, or maybe 2. Hyrabeth too. Wheedling, blackmail, violence. I'll stop at nothing to drag her away on her first ever vacation.
Whatever you say, I can see surrender is my only option. We've waited so long for this. Onward to victory!
Lead on, Commander.
not a bad spot to end this war. Formidable, menacing. It has a certain style about it. Seeing as our contract is coming to an end, Commander, let me just say that you are the most impressive client I've ever had the pleasure to work with. And a highly lucrative pleasure it's been, too. Of course not. Where else would I have had so many adventures? Besides, it's thanks to you that I've been able to add so many accomplishments to my service record, which will boost my rates in the future. You know, it's jobs like this, the ones that are both fun and pay well, that make me love what I do. Huh. Well, it sure wasn't in the name of Iomade. Of course, money's not the be-all and end-all. You dimwits need someone with a clear head on your side, someone to watch your back. I know how you hero types love sacrificing yourselves at the drop of a hat. Now you're talking. Why don't you show me who it is we need to kill to win this war? Aurilu Vorlesh? I'll wish that lady sweet dreams with unalloyed pleasure.
Chief, is there any chance, even a tiny one, that we can just, call this whole thing off now and go home? Before, I would have just made a run for it, but I can't do that now. Something is holding me back, and I really don't like the thought of leaving you high and dry. See what you turned me into? If you want to send me to the front line, I ain't going, so don't even try that hero stuff on me. I'm gonna fight because I don't want to die. And because we're kind of friends now. And don't you go getting yourself killed either. I can't stand being sad, so just don't do that to me. Uh-huh, likewise. Well, come on. What are you standing around for? Go and command this crusade of yours. Let's try to wrap this up quick. That reminds me, the Tiefling's merchandise is still at your disposal. So don't be afraid to ask if you find yourself in need of something.
This is it. The last fortress. It's been a long road from the River City to here. We walked and walked and walked along the road, and suddenly, there's no more road. Nobody is ready. It will be scary, very scary. In the last fortress, all the lies will end, and the truth will rise. It's scary, but it's good. Nobody knows what will happen next. People are afraid of the future, so that's why they make it up. They lie to themselves so it's not so scary. They convince themselves and others of the things they make up. But one day the future will come. The story ends, for better or worse. When everything's already happened, there's nothing to be afraid of anymore. And there's no reason to lie. The Redeemed Knights say they need me. I think they can manage fine without me, but maybe I really can help them somehow. I think we'll do a lot of good together. Hear that, Soot? It's time.
I am calculating the likelihood of your victory. Taking into consideration the fortifications of Threshold, the long period it has been under demon control, and Aurilu Vorlesh, who is personally overseeing the defense, I would give the Crusaders a 30% chance of success at most. Of course, the presence of an illustrious scholar of Golarion in your ranks, meaning me, immediately increases your chances by 5%. Fear is an unproductive emotion that typically gets in the way of a good experiment. And I have never indicated that I do not support my loyal follower in his battle against the demons. I simply calculated your chances of success. If you win, I'll make sure to mention you in my encyclopedia. Aha! With that as an incentive, your chances have increased by 5%. Consider this my contribution to your victory.
There it is. The Citadel, the Demon Army. You know, I expected it to be formidable and fearsome. Something that would make me quake in terror. But now that I am standing at its gates, I'm surprised at how little fear I feel. Do not mistake this for bravado. Our enemies are dangerous, but no more than that. We have traveled to the heart of the Abyss, and back again. Now we are home, on our own territory. This time, let it be the invaders who quake in terror. When I set out for war, I imagined that I would find Trevor and together we would fight the demons, shoulder to shoulder. Fate has a caustic sense of humor. My dream came true, but not at all as I imagined. The reality of war shattered many of my romantic notions. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that he is here with us. And today we will win, all of us together. I will go home to Endoran. I will lay down my weapon and never pick up another so long as I live. Save a knife for cutting grapevines. I will serve the goddess in our old temple. And when the peasant children come to pepper me with questions about the crusade, I will do my utmost to make sure that my stories give none the idea that there is anything beautiful or romantic about war. I had to. If I had a choice, I probably would have stayed the same naive little boy I was before the war. The boy who had never killed, who had never been to the abyss, who had never buried those with whom he had sat around a campfire only the night before. Even so, when I set out to join this war, my head was full of so many romantic notions, more than usual for a naive little boy. But life found a way to shatter those most thoroughly. Ready. Let us drive the demons all the way back to the abyss!
At last, this irksome crusade is drawing to a close. All right, it hasn't been that irksome. All in all, it was a fine adventure, and the company was more than adequate. The most important outcome of today, of course, will be that I shall be immortalized in works of art depicting the Fifth Crusade as the most attractive crusader. Oh, that's what you think, is it? Allow me to remedy that. See? I can be quite demonstrative when I wish. And now everyone knows we're involved. What else can I do to make my feelings known? Shall I dance a jig before the troops? Do you think that would raise morale? Oh, that reminds me. I keep forgetting to ask. What would you say to adding yet another title to your procession of pompous appellations? How does Lord Arnday strike you? Shall I dig my heels in for the sake of appearances? No. I shall gallantly concede this point without a fight. I expected a response like this when I suggested it. No, my darling, I am not afraid. I have seen you emerge unscathed from every calamity and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat too many times to count. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but all will be well. And to the victory feast, I trust?
Greetings. Allow me to congratulate you on leading the armies of the Fifth Crusade to its decisive confrontation. Excellent. At last, a real achievement and a genuine chance of victory. I suppose I am. Being happy is not in my nature, but for the first time in years, I feel something akin to that emotion. It would be interesting to analyze what I experience when I see the criminal Aurilu Vorlesh defeated, the demons ousted, and the world wound closed at last. It promises to be an exceptional moment. And for me as well, Commander. For me as well. I am always ready.
You know what's crazy? I never thought this moment would come so soon. It feels like only yesterday we were trying to bring a blazing Canabras under control, and now we're standing on the cusp of our last battle. Threshold. This isn't how I imagined it. I thought I'd be running happily toward death and trying to do something particularly heroic so I could go out in style. But now, I'm thinking about how we have to win and go back to Dresden because there's so much work still to do there. Me too. You've got a whole army behind you and we're all ready to win. If we fail now, when we've got this far, then that means the Crusades were always doomed to fail. We've been going easy on these demons for too long, don't you think? It's time to show them one last time what Galarians are capable of.
Hey, well, are we gonna stick it to the demons one last time? I haven't had time to think about it. All of my thoughts are focused on the coming battle. But I think I'll stay here a while, help the world to return to a life of peace and catch any demons that aren't dead yet. And I don't want to leave all my friends either. When we have peace, there will finally be time to spend with everybody. And after that, well, stick a pin in a map. There are still many places in the world where people are in need of help. Wherever the road takes me, I'll find a way to put my blade to use. And this block of wood. Back at you, friend. So, are we going to crush some demons? It's time to show them the door once and for all!
There it is. The heart of the wound. The source of all the evil that has been wrought here over the last 100 years. It all began here. And we will end it here. If Aurilu Voralesh had never opened the world wound, I would never have ended up on Galarian. I would never have met Desna, or you. I would never have embarked on the path of good. This invasion has killed so many innocent people, but it has also led to my redemption. It means my freedom has been bought with thousands of innocent lives. But I will do everything in my power to help you close this abomination, so that no one else has to die. I did not do it alone. You have led your army to victory, and me to my dream. It's not about guilt. It's just that I am ashamed to take any joy in my freedom, knowing that this terrible war was the cause of it. Everyone would have been better off if the world wound had never been opened. But then I would have remained a monster. Perhaps one day I will atone for all the evil I did. But it took a far greater evil to make my redemption even possible. I now have a dream of my own. I will pursue it. I am ready. Let the abyss tremble in fear.
Can't be dismissed as a calculation error. You knew failure was a possibility. Then why? Why? Yes, it's decided. I will tell you the truth before we fight to the death. Would you like to know why I upended your life? This place is my demi-plane. I created it when I was a prisoner in Threshold. I would slip away to conduct my rituals here in secret. This is where I decided to create what mortals would later call the World Wound. This is where I made all my preparations. Do you understand? Escaping was never my goal. I could have easily disappeared from Threshold. I could have passed through it like water through sand, but that wasn't my goal. Some believe that I brought Sarkoris to ruin out of revenge. And there is some truth to that. I had reason to take revenge. You didn't listen to my words in Iz, and you didn't find a way into the secret part of my laboratory. Otherwise, you would know what I'm talking about. My laboratory. The old house in the middle of nowhere that marked the entrance to my lab. It was the home of Arilu Vorlesh when I was still a mere mortal. I lived there with my son, away from the din of the crowd, and sheltered from the keen gaze of the Sarkorian witch hunters. It was a place where the reality of our world was in close proximity to the abyss, a place where I could study the magic forbidden to all Sarkorians. I thought I had hidden my home well, but I was wrong. They found it. They found us. At that hour, I was there, in the laboratory. That damned laboratory I loved so much. I was absorbed in one of my experiments when the hunters arrived on our doorstep. I was sitting at my desk, recording my observations, thoughts, and calculations, as was my habit. That's when I heard the noise outside. The fight was brief. It barely lasted a moment. By the time I sensed that something was amiss and hurried out to see what was happening, it was too late. All I could do was cradle the body of my dead child and cry after their departing soul. I promise. Because they saw him with a scroll that he had secretly borrowed from my supply. He was trying to perform a forbidden ritual. Children, they are always drawn to the unknown. But for the Threshold hunters, this child playing with a magical trinket he stole from an adult was just as much of a criminal as the worst demon worshippers. I am not concerned with whether it was justified or not, or with the application of morality, the law, or the teachings of any god. Look around you. This demi-plane. The first time I escaped from my cell and ran here, I was trying to resurrect my son. I tried many things, but all my efforts were in vain. The soul had already received Pharasma's judgment and had been sent on the path determined by the gods, into the abyss. And when I realized that, I rebelled. But not against my jailers, not against those who had murdered my child, not even against Sarkoris. My uprising was against destiny, death, and the laws that the gods had forced upon our lives. I realized then that I wouldn't be satisfied with simply returning my son to life. I had to shatter this order once and for all, and make it so that neither Pharasma and her lackeys nor death itself could ever stand between us. Only by stepping beyond the bounds of what had been ordained for mortal kind, by obtaining powers that rivaled the divine, could we become free. And with this newfound purpose, I turned myself into a half-demon. Fusing the spiritual essence of the two planes was the only way I could achieve my goal. I let the abyss into my soul and into this world. I opened the world wound. I danced around 3 demon lords, making them assist me without ever revealing my true intentions. They just believed they were dealing with another power-hungry mortal. But in reality, I was after one thing: I wanted to bind what was left of my son's soul and give him a new birth. One that would prevent anything from ever harming him again. And then I found you. I chose you because I felt a faint affinity to you. I thought your soul could accept the remains of my son's soul like the soil takes a seed. I thought I could bring back my child by tethering the mangled remnants of his soul to a pure mortal soul untouched by the abyss. I thought the power of the Nahindrian crystals would allow me to protect him forever. That I could tear him away from the dominion of mortal nature. But I was mistaken in both assumptions. Now I'm about to face the consequences of my mistake. You will witness them as well.
The mortal who ventured recklessly into the abyss has now reached threshold. In Iz, you struck down my creator and master Discari. But if that makes you dismissive of his echo, if you think I do not pose a threat, then you are greatly mistaken. I was hunting the hand of the Inheritor in the abyss, not you. And what a good hunt it was. But now things are different. Now you are the prey I covet more than anything else. Master is in the abyss, in his realm. No, he does not wish to meet with you yet. A demon lord cannot afford 2 deaths in succession. It will kill them permanently. No, I'm not afraid of your threats, and there's nothing you could offer me that would make me withdraw. He lost to you. He lost. The great Discari himself lost to a mortal. So what happens if I succeed where the great lord failed? If an echo destroys the one its originator could not defeat, who would that make me? What would it prove? I'll risk my life to know. You are not just my enemy, you are my chance. A chance I won't miss.
This is where it happened. It was here that I conducted the ritual, sewing my soul and the essence of the abyss together, feeling the world change around me as every stitch brought Galarian closer to the abyss. And it was here that even though you have no memory of it, I did the same to your soul. A researcher must not have any personal feelings for the subjects of their experiments. And yet, I find myself unable to remain completely detached from the world wound. I created it. I allowed it to be. It holds a place in my heart, even if I'm slowly paying for it with my life. A researcher must be particularly resilient in the face of mistakes, incorrect hypotheses, and failed experiments. You are my failed experiment. I think I'll feel some regret for ending your current life, but you can rest assured that such sentiments will not stop me. You're so adept at magic. Of course, I've been preparing for our meeting. And hopefully I've prepared well. Yes. And no. Even if I could have brought back my son, I wouldn't have stopped at that. I wouldn't have been satisfied. Not after what I'd gone through. Not after the things I'd learned. I wanted to become stronger. And I wished the same for my child. I didn't want to be afraid of anything. It wasn't the dogs of Threshold, or even Sarkoris itself, that threatened us. It was the laws of a world governed by death, weakness, and separation. That is why I needed the power of the Nahindrian crystals.
I did not wish to merely stave off the agony of the wound. I wanted to tear my son from the grasp of everything that makes us weak and mortal. You have seen a goddess. You have been face to face with demon lords. Were you awed by their greatness? Do you enjoy living in a world where your entire life cycle has been predetermined? Where everything, from your birth to what will happen to your soul after you die, has been decided for you? Or do you find, now that you have experienced the mythic power coursing through your blood, that you prefer to live in a world that you can change? A world that offers you a chance to be anything you want. So you can't see past the end of your nose. A pity. But then I suppose it does not matter. When I poured what was left of my son's soul into your soul, I was expecting it to bring him back. They say death and the judgment of Pharasma purges the soul of everything it once was in life. But this cannot be true. I have researched this subject meticulously and have collected enough evidence to prove that supernatural beings born from mortal souls can recall their past. Sometimes partially, sometimes fully. I watched you day and night waiting for it to happen. For your memory to awaken, or your instincts at least. For anything familiar, something I could immediately recognize. I tested you. I asked you questions and... nothing. Nothing. If a hypothesis is proven wrong, it needs to be rejected. But the research process does not stop there. That is all I can tell you right now. It will kill me eventually, but I still have some time left. Years, or decades perhaps. But it doesn't matter. One of us will die today. The tearing of the soul, followed by a cruel and terrible death. But it will likely be quick. And it's finally time to end all this. Yes, it was bound to happen, and happen it will. I am ready. Death is not the end. I have spent 100 years trying to prove it, and I will not stop now. This experiment was unsuccessful, but that just means I need to adjust the initial conditions and try again. I am still alive. I still have time. You, the current you, will have to die, but only to surrender the soul you share with my son. I will start over. This time I will do everything differently. I will work with even greater precision. I will turn the world upside down if I must. I promise. I never thought that I would be responsible for the creation of my most powerful enemy.
I've been waiting for you to get distracted, so I can stab you in the back!
How very perceptive. But you didn't think I would make it easy, did you? I won't let you win. You need me alive. You want to use me to close the wound, but I can destroy myself before you have a chance. You're right. I won't gain anything from this. So what now? You are stronger than I could have anticipated. As your creator, I should be proud to be defeated by the one I have imbued with power. Is there any higher praise? But I'm tired. You won't hear me pleading. Let us finish this experiment here and now. Here are my last words. I regret nothing. And what of me, the writer of these words? The half-demon witch known as the architect of the world wound. My experiment ended in success. In the war between Galarian and the Abyss, I emerged the victor. It took 100 years and 1,000,000 deaths for me to bring back the one whose life had been so cruelly stolen away. And it cost one more death. My own. For him to keep on living. I have recounted the story of my life for you, Pharasma, Lady of Graves. Not only of my life, but of the Commander's also. I believed the tale of such an illustrious figure would pique even a goddess's curiosity. Now you know everything. I await your verdict, Goddess.
The laws of the universe have existed for millennia. They are incontrovertible, but even they allow the decider of fate some degree of influence over the verdict. You wrought great evil, while it stemmed from the evil that was done to you. Your actions far exceeded it. Your soul is dark, and there is only one place for you in the universe. And yet, the one whom you harmed most of all now appeals to me on your behalf. I shall send you to the Maelstrom, the plane on the edge of the world. A place to which the gods' gazes do not stray. There you will find yourself. Or you will perish in the whirlwind of chaos that is your soul. So be it. Now you, the mortal who has risen so high as to stand boldly in the presence of the goddess of fate, you have done the impossible, and you will be remembered as long as this universe exists. Go, live out the rest of your life. I look forward to tales of your future deeds.